What happened?
Someone set up us the bug. We get signal.
What?
Main screen turn on.
It's you.
How are you, gentlemen? All your base are belong to us. You are on the way to destruction.
What you say?
You have no chance to survive, mate, your time. Ha ha ha. All your base, all your base are belong to us. All your base, all your base are belong to us. All your base, all your base are belong to us. All your base, all your base are belong to us. All your base, all your base are belong to us. All your base,
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Cuddy's World. I am recording at precisely 11 o'clock a.m. on April 24th, 2017. My name is Geno Cuddy, and today's topic is vivid dreams. Dreams that are so crystal clear they had to have been real. Now, I'm going to tell you guys of some of my most vivid dreams that I've ever had. A lot of them were the result of food that I had eaten. And I truly believe that food does have this weird quality that if you don't cook it properly, or if it's gone bad, or if it's at least slightly old, then it does have hallucinogenic properties. And this has been proven several times. I had a friend who, back in the 80s, he was telling me the story about how back in the 80s he had eaten this slice of pizza because his cousins had given it to him, and he ate this slice of pizza. But unbeknownst to him and unbeknownst to his cousins, the sauce on that pizza it hadn't gone bad, but it had started, I believe, to ferment in some fashion. It had started to sort of like inbreed into itself. And so later that night, he woke up screaming his head off, and he was having a nightmare, a really, really vivid hallucinogenic LSD type nightmare, where he was walking around his aunt's house like he was in a game of Dungeons and Dragons. He thought, because in his mindset, it wasn't his aunt's house he was in. He was in some big mega fortress or some big castle. And he was walking all around trying to slay these dragons and everything else, screaming at the top of his head because he was so scared he didn't know what to do. And, it was just creeping him out. And it took his cousins and everybody a while to figure out what had happened. And it had turned out, when they told the aunt about, giving this friend of mine this slice of pizza with this very old sauce, she was like, "Oh my God, no! Why did you give that to him? That sauce is quite old." And so tomato sauce, and I think a lot of things with citric acid and acidic properties could do that as well. I think that, because it's happened to me. I've ordered pizza from this one pizza restaurant here in town. I won't name names, but it has given me LSD style dreams before, and unfortunately, a lot of them I cannot remember. But I do remember quite a bit of them. So let's start off with the first major one that I remember. Um, okay. This had to have been at least a couple months back. At least a good couple months back. So, Mom and I, because we want to support businesses here in Middletown, we decided to try out this new Chinese restaurant that had opened up. We I ordered the General Tso's chicken. I thought it was spare ribs. I can't quite remember. And I ordered a side of wonton soup, and I think an egg roll. I'm not exactly sure on that. Well, I had gotten so full from the main course that I didn't really have room for the wonton soup. So I decided, save it for later. The following day, I had taken the wonton soup out of the refrigerator, and I took the lid off and I started eating it cold, mind you. And I started to notice it didn't taste like regular wonton soup. It actually tastes, I can't really describe what the taste was. It was kind of bizarre. It was it itself, it tasted like it had fermented in some fashion. I don't know what I don't know if Chinese food can do that. But I think this is a case of, too little too late as far as this wonton soup goes. So anyway, I eat it, and it just didn't taste right. So I wound up dumping the rest of it down the kitchen sink. Lord knows what the alligator's dreams were that night. And so I just went off, and I started feeling very, very tired. Very, very tired. I really, I felt kind of sick too, a little bit, actually, if I'm remembering correctly. And so I go to sleep, I lay down, and then I have one of the most vivid dreams that I'd ever had in my whole entire life. All right, now, let me set this up here a little bit. I had discussed this dream previously on another podcast, but for the benefit of my new audience, I figured I would, reiterate what this dream is about. So here we go. When I dream almost cinematically. Like, my dreams play out like movies, and sometimes even the quality of those the quality of those dreams are like movies, like the actual film quality. So this dream had started out. It was like just after like a credits would stop, and we fade in. It's a very bluish night. It's like blue all around, and I'm in a tuxedo. I'm in a very nice looking tuxedo, top of the line. And I have a friend of mine. His name is Nigel Drainer. And he's in a tuxedo as well. Nigel heads the Modern Times Charlie Chaplin podcast. And he and I had made a Dracula film, as we are both major fans of the Murnau film Nosferatu from 1922. And so we had made a Dracula film. It was almost on the level, actually, of Manos, The Hands of Fate, the very famous Manos film from 1966. And so we're at the premiere of the film. It's at this little shack out in the middle of nowhere. There's really nothing else surrounding it. It's just me, Nigel, and this building. And a big grassy field. And this building didn't look so much as a theater. It looked more like a shack. It looked like, a really tiny rinky-dink shack. It had a concession stand right outside. You lift up the garage door, and right there are your snacks and what have you. And on top of the building, in neon lights, red orangey neon lights, and cursive, spelled out the word Dracula. Because, of course, that was the film that we had made. We made Dracula. And it kept flashing, flashing, flashing. And so the dream takes place pretty much after the premiere of the film. By this point, all the paying audience had cleared out. And all who was left were me, Nigel, and a friend of ours whose name is Brent Reed, who heads the Brenton Film, silent film blog website. And in the context of the dream, he had written about Nigel and I making this homage to Murnau's Nosferatu on his site. And so Nigel, me, and Mr. Reed we're all laughing and giggling and carrying on, and we were like, thank you for mentioning us on your blog. And he was like, hey, no problem, anytime, bros. And we were all just getting along, having a few beers, having a few laughs. And so my mother pulls up in the limousine, because she's the limo driver that night. So she pulls up in the limousine, and so she gets out. She's wearing what she usually wears, which is sweats, a t-shirt, and that's pretty much it. So she comes upstairs. She walks into the theater and walks up the stairs where Nigel, Brent, and I are sitting and just chatting away. She asks how the premiere went, and we told her it went really well. We were surprised with the turnout. A lot of people came. A lot of people liked it. People thought it was a good homage to Murnau. And so she said that she had the car out in front, ready to take us back to our respective homes. And so we walk out. We bid Brent a farewell. And then we walk out, and I asked Mom, because we have to take the film, of course, because we own the film, we own the posters and everything else, and we take everything else. And so she asks if we need help with anything and if we have everything, and we're like, yep. And we walk outside, and we put all of our gear into the trunk of the limo. And so she walks outside. Now, across the street from the shack, it's very, very foggy night as well. Almost perfect for a Dracula film. It's very, very foggy. You can't really see too much. But across from the theater is this belly dancing hypnotist. She's very, very beautiful. I mean, she puts like Geno Brigida to shame with how beautiful she is. So she is dancing, gyrating her stomach, and on her stomach is a pattern, a design, and she's dancing, gyrating her body to and fro, back and forth. And my mom looks right up at her. Now, at this point, the film looks very crisp, because again, I dream cinematically, so my dreams look like film. There's some grain in the gate, not too bad, but it's kind of grainy. It's like a really nicely cleaned up film from the 80s. It looks like a film from the 80s, almost like Night of the Comet, how that film looked. And so she looks right across the street, my mother, she looks right across the street at this hypnotist. And then that film that looks so nice and crisp starts deteriorating rapidly into this almost this old, gritty, silent film printed on nitrate film stock. Now, if anybody out there knows about nitrate film stock, they know that it's combustible, it could easily explode, and it's made from the same stuff that they make gunpowder with. And so it starts rapidly deteriorating. The emotion is incredible. Starts lighting itself on fire. And my mom starts making these horrible facial expressions. Like, she starts sticking her tongue out, her head starts spinning around supernaturally, almost like The Exorcist, if you will. And so it starts spinning around, spinning around, spinning around. And then, once that wave stops, her face starts sliding clear off her skull. And that's when the film finally just breaks apart. And that's when I woke up screaming, because I was like, what the hell just happened to my mom? What the hell just happened in this nightmare? It was so incredibly vivid, guys, that I had to go out and check on my mother to make sure she was okay. I mean, that just threw me for a freaking loop. And just last night, I had actually two vivid dreams. I guess maybe three, but there were the main two. And so here's the dreams. I had fallen in love with this Japanese woman. Very, very beautiful, nice, kind, friendly. And she wanted to get married and show me to her folks over in Japan. So we arranged to have our wedding in Japan. And she had arranged it so I could meet her folks prior to the wedding. So, a lot of this, from what I remember, I was groggy too during a lot of this conversation. And so we board a plane, and we head to head out from Bradley International Airport. Unfortunately, my mom didn't know any of this was going on. She didn't even know about my Japanese girlfriend. And this is about 2 or 3 days before we're supposed to celebrate my birthday. And so I'm on a plane headed towards Japan, and my mother thinks that I'm still at home sleeping in my bed. And so it's a long flight too. I'm just sitting there all groggy and everything, because of course whenever I go flying anywhere, I have to be on some serious knockout pills, like some Dramamine, melatonin, Excedrin PM, Tylenol PM, muscle relaxer, you name it, I'm on it during that flight. And so we're flying down, and we finally land in Japan. And it's quite a surreal experience. I see all these brown cylindrical buildings, and they're all flats. They're all homes, if you will. And so we're driving through Japan in these small little taxi cabs, because the taxi cabs there are quite small. And so we're driving through there, and I'm seeing all these weird buildings and everything else. And so one of those buildings winds up being her home in Japan, where her family is. So I'm like, listen, I follow you. I don't know anything about this place. So we walk upstairs. We creep upstairs. She still has her keys on her, so she opens the door. And when we get inside, it's a beautiful looking penthouse, almost. And so we're greeted by her brothers, and her mom and dad are there as well. But I'm mostly hanging out with the brothers, and they're showing me all this cool stuff. I I see Japanese Coca-Cola hanging around. It's funny. I see Coca-Cola, but then I see the huge Japanese characters, the calligraphy, um, and so I try a sip of that. It's normal. It's average Coke. It's not nothing different. It doesn't taste different. And but then they bring out the big guns, and they show me the Japanese beer that they have there, and this beer is coming. They have like tons of bottles of it, and it comes in this beautiful golden bottle. Like it almost looks like a bong, if you've ever seen what a bong looks like. But it's a beautiful bottle, nice neck, everything else, and a beautiful golden label to go along with it. And so they're like, you haven't had anything until you've had this, Geno. And so they pour me a glass, and I smell it first, because that's the way I drink my alcohol. I take a whiff, and then I stir it around a little bit. Then I do the drinking. And so I drink it, and I'm like, this is the best damn beer I've ever tasted in my whole life. And they're like, yep, we know how to make it good over here, Geno. And so it's nighttime, of course, when all this is going on. So I'm looking out, and I'm seeing Japanese life at around 10 o'clock at night. And it looks like a freaking carnival outside, bro. I'm not even kidding. It looks like a carnival. People are parading in the streets. And one of the most spectacular sights that I see is this Lego car. Like this giant, big as hell Lego car flying through the air. It's like a Lego car, but it's an airplane, and it's running on a legit engine. And I'm like, is that a Lego car up in the air? Please tell me this isn't from this beer that I just drank. And they were all like, nope, that's what happens pretty much here at night. They get in their Lego cars and they fly around. And I'm like, man, Japan is cool. And so I see the pagoda off in the distance. I see Tokyo off in the distance and everything else. And Japan was really looking beautiful at night. And so I'm just sitting there just soaking it all in, just looking all around me and just soaking in all the ambiance and everything. But then I start remembering my mom's gonna want to celebrate my birthday in the morning, and she's not gonna be too happy when she finds out that I'm in Japan celebrating with my Japanese girlfriend that she doesn't even know about. So I'm like, oh no, I gotta get home. And so I'm talking to my girlfriend. I believe her name is Kim. I think that's her name. I'm not exactly sure on that. That part was kind of fuzzy in the dream. So I'm talking to her, and I'm like, listen, baby, my mom doesn't know that I'm in Japan. She doesn't even know you exist. And she doesn't even know what we're planning on doing. And she's like, oh, Geno, it's going to be alright. She's going to be okay. And I'm like, she's not going to be too happy tomorrow morning when she wakes up and she finds that I'm not there. And she's going to be even more upset when she finds out I'm with you, someone she's never met, in Japan. And so I think it's best that I at least call her and tell her, okay? And I'm like, wait, Geno, if it's 10 o'clock over here, it's probably already the next day over there. And so mom is probably just waking up now. And I'm like, oh shit. And so I'm trying to, scrounge around, trying to think, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And all the while her brothers are like, chillax, Geno, and have a beer. And I'm like, I can't have a beer, fellas. I gotta be thinking about what to do about my mom. They're like, oh, just sit down, have a beer, and shut up. And so I'm like, all right, but I just don't know what to do. And so um, I wind up saying, you know what, because I have to do it, I have to call her at least. And so I pick up the phone over there, and I call her. I call her a number. And so she picks up. She's like, Geno, where are you? This is a. She doesn't answer. Actually, no, she doesn't answer because we screen our calls, so caller ID. And so I start leaving a message. I'm like, hey, Ma, it's your son. I'm not here right now. And then she picks up. And she's like, Geno, where are you? And I'm like, well, Mom, there's a little part of my life that you don't know about. And that's the fact that I'm betrothed to somebody. I would like you to meet my girlfriend Kim, someday. And she's like, and Mom's like, Geno, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in Japan, having Japanese beer with a bunch of her relatives, and I'm watching Lego cars flying through the sky. And she's like, Geno, I hope you're not doing no drugs. And I'm like, no, this is really legit happening. You know, this is not Geno making up his usual stories. And so she's like, well, let me speak to this Kim then. And so she gives the phone over to Kim, and she starts talking. And my mom's like, what in the world are you doing with my son over in Japan? We're supposed to be celebrating his birthday today. And then she's like, well, we're preparing to get married. And she's like, what? Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's when you know that movie The Sadist? You know one of the taglines for that movie? A human volcano? Yeah, well that's what my mom turned into. And so I'm like, yeah, I gotta head on home, huh? And Kim's like, you know, Geno, I think you should. So I'm like, well, time to pack the bags. And so we do. We start getting everything all prepared. And then the dream changes, however. I wind up actually lying in my bed, and I see these weird notifications on Facebook. This is dream number 2 now that I'm having. And this one is equally as bizarre. And I think it was because last night I had just watched one of my favorite cult classics, the 1989 direct-to-video film Provoked. And so what this dream basically was about was I was lying up in bed on the computer, and then I start seeing all these notifications about my old high school, about all these teachers that were taken hostage and whatever, and I'm recognizing a lot of these names. And so I'm like, and so it pops up on Facebook, mark yourself safe in Middletown, Connecticut during the hostage crisis. And so I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And then I say, look, we may have had our differences, but I don't want to see these people get killed or whatever. So I spring into action. I head on down to the school, and I see, I of course rush through the crowd and everything else, and police are trying to hold me back, and I'm like, look, you ain't doing jack shit, so I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna kick some ass and do something. So I walk upstairs, and I see exactly where it's all going down. And I see all these teachers that I knew, all hogtied in bonded and everything else, and these crazy maniacs all around me with guns. And I'm like, really? You're gonna do all this? Then they tried to take me hostage. Um, and they tried tying me up, and I'm like, no, don't think so. And so I don't lay a finger on one of these people because I'm smarter than that. I tell them, hey, there's some stuff in the janitor's closet. And so, because I found a way to get the keys to every room in the whole school. Plot convenience, I know. And so I'm walking all around, and they're like, so is this the janitor's room? And I'm like, yes. And they go in there, and I lock them in there. These three maniacs. And so I go back in there, and I'm untying all the teachers and whatever, and I'm like, look, I know we've had our differences, but I don't want to see none of this happen to you. And so we start walking downstairs. I get cornered by these guys because they wound up breaking out of the janitor's room, and I'm like, to the teachers, run, hurry, downstairs, now, pronto, leave. And so I'm standing there fending them off. I don't have a gun. I am not armed at all. So I'm just standing up there defenseless. All these three maniacs are trying to shoot me. And so they're like, we're gonna have you dance, you son of a bitch. And I'm like, dance? Do you know the Macarena? And so, like the maniacs they are, they start doing the Macarena. And so they wind up dropping their guns, and I wind up picking them up, and I'm like, alright, I'm leaving. I don't know what you guys are gonna do, but I'm Audi 5000. And so I start running, and they start chasing after me, and all the while I'm like shooting while I'm trying to run down these flights of stairs, which of course, me being the fatso that I am and Mr. Persnickety, I can't do so, quickly. So I'm shooting and trying to run down these flights of stairs and everything, right? And so I walk out of the school, and everybody's clamoring over me, saying that I'm this big hero and everything, because I saved all these hostages. And it's really amazing, because, it's like, how did this one dream become this other dream, And so it's really amazing how dreams work. At the end of the day, it's really amazing how the mind works and where your mind goes, because your mind can go anywhere. It's all a matter of just how far you take it. Yeah, our brains may be comparatively small, and might be one of the smallest organs in our bodies, but it could go anywhere. It could fly anywhere. It's like a bird, So I just figured I'd share those with you guys, and if you have any weird dreams or experiences, feel free to, pass them on by. This stuff is really, really bizarre. It's really, really interesting to think about. It's 11:33 a.m. on April 24th, 2017. This has been Geno Cuddy, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to me ramble on about these really three weird and whacked out dreams that I've had. Again, a lot of this stuff is I attribute it to food, because the last night we had these weird bistro bowls from the store up in Guilford, and I tried the General Tso's and everything, and it just wasn't good. It just didn't taste right. And it's funny, it's always Chinese food that does it to me. It's always Chinese food that gives me hallucinogenic nightmares. Like, if it's not cooked right, it always does that to me for some reason. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you've enjoyed listening to episode 2 of Cuddy's World. There will be more down the pike soon, I'm sure. Be on the lookout for my other new show coming down the pike, The Memory Machine. I'm looking very, very much forward to that. I think you guys will enjoy the first topic of discussion. I'll be taking a look back at 2 rather sadly forgotten Disney Channel shows from back in the day, and those are the science fiction paranormal shows, So Weird, and the sports quantum leap show, The Jersey. So that about does it. Alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed listening to Cuddy's World. This has been Geno Cuddy. Hope you have a great day. Peace.
For justice. Hate off every